relational and transformative. Imagine discovering a divine masterpiece woven through time, a connection so profound it transforms your understanding of everything. We're about to journey back to the beginning, to the book of Genesis, to unlock the astonishing secret of how creation itself sings the story of Jesus' incarnation. This isn't just theology, it's a revelation that will deepen your awe for God's incredible plan. All right, listen up. Y'all ever feel like you're just going through the motions? Like you're stuck on a hamster wheel, dealing with the same old drama, the same baggage? Day in and day out, we've all been there. It feels hella real. But what if I told you that the whole Genesis story, the whole let there be light thing, ain't just some ancient, dusty fairy tale? And what if the story of Jesus ain't just about a cool dude who showed up 2,000 years ago to hand out free fish and wisdom? Well, Joel Goldsmith was all about flipping the script on this. He was like, hold up, we gotta stop looking out there. The real deal, the mystical truth, is that the Jesus story is actually a massive spoiler alert for the Genesis story. It's the universe's biggest moment, dropped right in the middle of history. We think of creation as something that happened once, a long time ago. But the real tea is that creation is popping off right now. And the incarnation, that moment the infinite decided to crash in our world as Jesus, wasn't a plan B. It was the original blueprint of Genesis finally fully showing itself. It was creation's echo, and it's still echoing, trying to get our attention through all the noise. So, if you're ready to level up and see how your own life is literally a playing out of this divine, eternal pattern, you're going to want to stick around for this next part. So, the big question is, if the Jesus story is really the key that unlocks the true meaning of your own Genesis, what in your world is just waiting to be created anew? If this hit different for you, do the algorithm a solid and like the video. Drop a comment below with the number 7 if you're ready to tune into this new creation, and subscribe so you don't miss what we're breaking down next. Peace. You're going to want to stick around for this next part, because the first thing we got to get straight, the real foundation of this whole thing, is that Genesis ain't a one-time event. We read that book, right? In the beginning, it sounds like the opening scene of a movie. A really epic one for sure, stars flying out, oceans getting poured, the whole nine. And then, it's like, and on the 7th day God kicked back, and that was that. We've been taught to see it as a historical account, something that happened and then was finished. A sealed chapter, a done deal. But that perspective, fam, that's what keeps us stuck. That's what makes spirituality feel like a history lesson instead of a living, breathing, right? Now reality. If creation was a one and done situation, then we're just living in the leftovers. We're just dealing with the fallout of something that was perfect once, but is now broken. We're basically just tidying up a cosmic mess. But that's not the mystical truth. That's not what the symbolism is screaming at us. The mystical truth is that Genesis is a present tense manifesto. It is the eternal ongoing activity of God, of pure consciousness, articulating itself. Right here. Think of it not as a past event, but as a constant broadcast. That in the beginning is every single moment, every single moment. It's the eternal now, point where the unformed becomes form, where the invisible becomes visible. That, let there be light, isn't a command that was spoken once. It is the very substance of every new insight you have, every single moment that cuts through your personal darkness and confusion. That light is shining now, trying to get your attention, trying to show you that the separation you feel from that divine power is an illusion. When you wake up in the morning, that's anew, or the beginning. When you face a problem that seems insurmountable, that's the without form and void moment before the Spirit of God moves upon the face of the waters of your own consciousness. The dividing of the waters from the waters. That's the discernment happening in your own mind right now, learning to separate the true from the false, the eternal from the temporary, the bringing forth of the dry land. That's a foundation of understanding forming in you, where before there was only the chaotic sea of human opinion and fear. This changes everything. It means you are not a victim of a fallen creation. You are a living part of a creation that is perpetually unfolding. The baggage you carry, the patterns you repeat, the limitations you accept, these aren't just your personality flaws. They are the without form and void areas of your own consciousness that are waiting, right now, for that divine fiat. They are waiting for you to recognize that the same power that orchestrated the cosmos is actively present in this very moment, ready to bring order out of your chaos. You are not trying to get back to a garden you were kicked out of. You are standing in the fertile ground where the garden is being planted, grown, and manifested in every single one of your thoughts, words, and actions. This is the radical, empowering, and frankly mind-blowing starting point. This understanding shifts the entire search from trying to reconnect with a lost God to realizing you are swimming in an ocean of divine activity that has never, for 1 second, stopped creating. This understanding shifts the entire search from trying to reconnect with a lost God to realizing you are swimming in an ocean of divine activity that has never, for 1 second, stopped creating. So if Genesis is happening now, then let there be light is your now. It's not a memory, it's your immediate reality. We talk about wanting enlightenment, wanting a spiritual awakening, like it's some destination we're going to reach someday, after we've read enough books or sat in enough meditation. We're waiting for the big flash, the choir of angels, the whole production. But that's a trap, fam. That's putting the big moment in the future, which means we're missing it while we're busy looking for it. The let there be light is the present activity of consciousness itself, and it's popping off in your awareness this very second. It is the fundamental power of discernment that allows you to know anything at all. Think about what light actually does. It doesn't create the object, it reveals what was already there. Before you flip the switch, the room is dark, and you might be terrified there's a monster in the corner. The moment the light comes on, the monster is revealed to be a stack of clothes. The monster didn't disappear, it was untrue, and the light exposed that. This is exactly what's happening in your consciousness right now. The light is that sudden, spontaneous knowing, that intuitive hit that cuts through the darkness of your personal drama, your fear, your belief in lack, or your sickness. That darkness isn't a real powerful force, it's just the absence of the light of understanding. The moment a flicker of truth comes in, the monster of your problem doesn't always vanish instantly, but it's exposed. You see it for what it is, a temporary, powerless shadow that has no substance of its own. This is the core of the mystical path. It's not about building a better you. It's not about self-improvement. It's about this constant, instant activity of light, divine consciousness, illuminating the shadows of your mind and showing you they were never real to begin with. Your anger, your resentment, your anxiety, they can only survive in the unexamined, dark corners of your thought. The moment you bring the light of pure awareness to them, without judgment, without trying to fix them, just observing, they start to lose their power. They get exposed as the imposters they are. This is the practical magic of it. You aren't fighting your darkness, you're just flipping the switch. You're turning your attention from the problem to the source of all light. And this isn't a one-time switch flip. It's a moment-by-moment choice. It's choosing to turn on the light when you feel the dread creeping in. It's choosing to turn on the light when the old story of unworthiness starts playing in your head. It's realizing that the command, "Let there be light," is the eternal permission slip for you to stop accepting the darkness as your home. The power that said it in the supposed past is the same power that can manifest it in your present. You are not a beggar asking for light. You are the very arena where this cosmic, revealing principle is actively at work, tirelessly showing you the kingdom that was, is, and always will be here. You are not a beggar asking for light. You are the very arena where this cosmic, revealing principle is actively at work, tirelessly showing you the kingdom that was, is, and always will be here. Now, this is where it gets really wild, because if the creation of Genesis is an eternal now, and the "let there be light" is the present activity of your own consciousness, then what in the world was the deal with Jesus? What was the point of that whole scene? Most of us were taught it was a rescue mission. God looked down, saw we were messing up big time, and sent his son as a celestial fix-it man to clean up our mess. But that makes it a reaction, a divine plan B after the whole Garden of Eden situation went sideways. And if we're understanding Genesis correctly as a never-ending activity, then God doesn't have plan Bs. The mystical truth, the one Joel Goldsmith hammered on, is that Jesus was the Genesis blueprint revealed. He wasn't a patch for a broken system. He was the full, unobstructed manifestation of the original system operating exactly as intended. Think of it like this. The story in Genesis is the schematic, the detailed architectural drawing for a perfect, divine human existence. It's the theory. But for centuries, maybe millennia, people were looking at that blueprint and misreading it. They thought it was about a past event or some external place. Then, Jesus shows up, and his life, his consciousness, his very being, it's like the architect walked onto the construction site and said, "No, you're reading it all wrong. This is what the blueprint looks like when it's built. This is the living embodiment of the design." His incarnation was the ultimate. Show, don't tell. He was the walking, talking, breathing proof that the Genesis pattern of a Son of God, made in the image and likeness of the Father, wasn't a metaphor. It was a living possibility. His consciousness was so perfectly aligned with the divine source that it became a clear, open window. There was no dirt on the glass, no distortion. The light of that one infinite I, Amnes, shone through him without any shadow. So when he stilled the storm, he wasn't performing a magic trick. He was demonstrating what a consciousness that knows its oneness with the Father, the same Father who spoke the cosmos into being, can do when faced with a chaotic, without form and void situation. He was showing us that the authority over creation described in Genesis is our true inheritance. When he healed the sick, he wasn't just fixing broken bodies, he was revealing the illusory nature of what we call reality. He was showing that sickness, like the darkness, has no substance in the face of the light of truth. He was literally illuminating the perfection of the original design, which can never be truly marred. His forgiveness wasn't just about being a nice guy, it was a radical declaration that since sin, a sense of separation from God, isn't part of the original blueprint, it has no ultimate reality. To forgive is to see through the illusion of error to the eternal, perfect Christ identity of the individual that was established in the beginning. His life was a continuous, dynamic unfolding of the Genesis principle, proving that the power to call forth light out of darkness, order out of chaos, and life out of death was not a past miracle, but a present, tense capacity for a consciousness that has remembered its source. He wasn't the only Son of God, he was the first to fully, completely, and consciously live as what we all truly are, revealing the path for us to wake up to our own divine identity. He wasn't the only Son of God, he was the first to fully, completely, and consciously live as what we all truly are, revealing the path for us to wake up to our own divine identity. And this is where it gets personal. This is where we can't just be spectators to a cool, ancient metaphysical concept. If Jesus is the revealed blueprint, then your life is that cosmic pattern playing out. Right now, your entire existence, with all its highs and lows, its drama and its boredom, is the arena where the principles of Genesis are being enacted. You are the living, breathing site where the infinite is seeking to become specific. We spend so much time looking for our purpose, for some grand mission we're supposed to fulfill, when the purpose has been staring us in the face the whole time, to be the vehicle through which the formless takes form. Your consciousness is the deep over which the Spirit of God is moving. Your challenges are the without form and void, waiting for the command of light. Your moments of peace and clarity are the successive days of creation, where a new aspect of your spiritual understanding is brought forth, and you see that it is good. We get it twisted because we judge by appearances. We see a problem in our health, our finances, or our relationships, and we perceive it as a solid, real, external enemy we have to fight. We think we're in a battle with a creation that's gone rogue. But the mystical perspective flips that entirely. These challenges are not alien invaders attacking the real you. They are the unformed, chaotic raw material of your own unillumined consciousness, presenting itself to be transformed. They are the call for another, let there be light, moment in you. When you face lack, that's not a sign of a cruel universe. It's the void and emptiness in your understanding of the infinite source, waiting to be filled by the recognition of ever-present substance. When you feel sick, that's not just a malfunctioning body, it's the darkness obscuring the truth of your being as a perfect, spiritual idea, whole and intact. The situation is begging for the light of this truth to dawn upon it. This means you are not a victim of your life. You are a co-creator in it. Every single moment is a choice to either accept the chaotic, unformed appearance or to recognize it as the raw potential for a new act of creation. You are, in every second, either agreeing with the darkness or flipping the switch. When you choose to turn within and acknowledge a presence and power greater than the problem, you are not running from reality, you are inviting the Spirit to move upon the face of your waters. When you get still and listen for that intuitive nudge, that inner knowing, you are allowing the word to be spoken. The outcome, the healing, the solution, the supply, that's the dry land appearing. That's the form the new creation takes in your experience. Your life, therefore, is not a random series of events. It is a sacred, ongoing curriculum designed to initiate you into your own Christhood. Every single thing you experience is grist for the mill, an opportunity to practice living from the blueprint, to stop reacting to the world you see, and to start responding from the truth of what you are. The entire cosmos is conspiring through the minutiae of your daily existence to wake you up to the staggering truth that you are not a human being having occasional spiritual experience, but a spiritual being navigating a human experience, and that your every breath is part of this eternal, divine rhythm of creation unfolding. This entire divine rhythm, this cosmic pattern playing out as your life, demands a radical shift in where we place our attention. We have been conditioned, literally from birth, to look for answers, for salvation, for fulfillment out there. We scan the external world for signs of approval, for security, for love, and for threat. We believe the evidence of our physical senses above all else, and we spend our lives reacting and adapting to a reality that appears to be happening west to us. This is the great hypnotic slumber, the dream of separation. The entire mystical path, as Joel Goldsmith taught, boils down to this one fundamental instruction. Stop looking out, start tuning in. The world there is merely the showroom, the display of what has already been formed in consciousness. It is the effect. To try and fix your life by manipulating the effects is like trying to change the movie by fiddling with the screen. You might temporarily adjust the color or the focus, but the source of the story, the characters, and the plot remains untouched on the film reel, which is in the projector of your own awareness. Looking out there for peace is like looking for the reflection of your face in the mirror and trying to wash the mirror to clean your skin. It's a fundamental misdirection of energy. The problem is never the condition itself. The problem is the belief that the condition has power. that it is a primary cause in your life, and that you are separate from the one source that is the only cause. Tuning in is the conscious, deliberate act of withdrawing your faith from the external panorama and turning the spotlight of your attention within to the very core of your being. This isn't an intellectual exercise, it's a sinking down, a letting go, a quieting of the frantic mental chatter that is constantly commenting on, judging, and fearing the world. There. It is in this profound inner silence that a different kind of knowing arises. This is where you listen, not for words or sounds, but for a feeling, a presence, an intuitive certainty. This is where you make contact not with a thought about God, but with the actual substance of divine consciousness itself. It is in this inner sanctuary that the "let there be light" command is issued anew, not as words, but as a vibrational shift in your entire being. When you tune in, you are going behind the appearance to the reality. You are accessing the projector room instead of staring at the screen. From this place, you can behold the appearance of lack, but you know from the inside out the truth of infinite supply. You can feel the sensation of pain in the body, but you know the incorruptible harmony of your true spiritual identity. This inner knowing doesn't always instantly vaporize the appearance, though it can, but it completely robs the appearance of its power to define your reality or dictate your peace. You are no longer a puppet being jerked around by external circumstances. You are the conscious observer anchored in a reality that the senses cannot perceive. You are in that moment practicing the presence of God. You are fulfilling the instruction to be still and know. This is the great work. It is the moment by moment choice to value the invisible reality over the visible appearance, to trust the still, small voice within over the roaring opinion of the world without. It is the decision to seek your identity not in your resume, your relationships, or your reflections, but in the formless, limitless I am that is the source of all that is ever was or ever can be. It is the decision to seek your identity not in your resume, or your relationships or your reflections, but in the formless, limitless I am that is the source of all that is ever was or ever can be. And this brings us to the final, most staggering implication of all. If we are successfully tuning in, if we are withdrawing our faith from the external and anchoring it in the divine consciousness within, what is it that we are actually perceiving? What is the nature of this reality that we are beginning to witness from this inner stillness? The world doesn't necessarily vanish before our eyes, but our understanding of it is utterly transformed. We begin to see that the kingdom of heaven is not a location you go to, but a dimension of reality you wake up to. It is your waking reality perceived through a Christed consciousness. The veil doesn't lift to show you a new world, the veil lifts, and you realize this very world was always the kingdom, only you were seeing it through a filter of separation, fear, and judgment. The world seen through the senses is a world of duality, good and bad, health and sickness, life and death. It is a relative world, a world of degrees. But the kingdom is the realm of the absolute. It is the perfect, finished spiritual reality that underlies the shifting appearances. It is the very good of Genesis, untouched and uncorrupted. When you behold a tree through the senses, you see a temporary, physical object that will one day decay. When you behold that same tree from the standpoint of the kingdom, you perceive the eternal, spiritual idea of treeness, the perfect, indestructible expression of the divine mind manifesting in that form for a season. You see the Creator in the creation. The tree is no longer a separate, external object, it is a unique articulation of the one life that you are also a part of. This is the secret. The kingdom is this very world, perceived with God's eyes. This is the ultimate meaning of the Incarnation. Jesus wasn't seeing something we couldn't see, he was seeing what was really here, while we were hypnotized by the apparition of a fallen world. His miracles were not violations of natural law, they were the natural activity of the kingdom appearing in a context that had forgotten it. When he multiplied the loaves, he wasn't breaking physics, he was revealing the inherent, abundant nature of substance to the consciousness that was tuned to its frequency. When he raised Lazarus, he wasn't reversing death, he was revealing that the life of God is the only life there is, and what we call death is a temporary state of sleep in the human dream of separation. To wake up to the kingdom as your waking reality is to understand that nothing real can be threatened and nothing unreal exists. The problems, the lacks, the conflicts, they are all part of the dream. Your true self and the true self of all creation exists eternally in the kingdom, which is here and now, and is the only reality. Your entire spiritual journey, then, is not about building this kingdom or earning it. It is about dissolving the belief in the veil. It is about consenting to let the light of your own Christ consciousness so illuminate your perception that the world of separation fades, and the everlasting, harmonious, and perfectly complete kingdom is all that remains, not as a future hope but as your present, tense, waking experience.